Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is Ursie. And yes, it's true. I am now certifiable as a galactic astrology soul reading practitioner. Thank you, Julia and team. So, since I've received so many requests, I want to give a gift back to everybody listening in case you're also interested. This idea of ascension, it's not necessarily an outward leaving the planet. So much of it is really about an inward balancing, and being ready for ascension is this idea of, can I hold the balance of who I am? So knowing thyself is critical. And then the next step, of course, is to lighten your load from all the grievances, karma, ill feelings, things that we'd rather not look at, trauma, drama. So when we lighten the load, and then the third step, of course, is learning how to navigate within what I'm calling a galactic consciousness. You know, we typically have a very myopic view, you know, this little nearsighted view of, oh, myself as, let's say, an American, or myself as a European. But now the call is to look at ourselves and our role, especially with the James Webb imagery coming in from the galaxy, that we are now looking at ourselves as participants within the Milky Way, you know, the galaxy of the Milky Way, and that has its own particular consciousness. There are other galaxies outside of our universe that have their own additional consciousness. So I know that's a lot of woo woo, but hey, what can I say? The Lionsgate portal, it's now August 12th, and the portal is closing with this beautiful, huge full moon. So the energies are up. So here's the gift I'm giving. I'd like to go deeper into sharing with you about the fixed star Fomalhaut. Why is this important? It goes back to this idea of galactic consciousness, understanding that we are part of it all. So as the early Hermetic wisdom, you know, as within, so without, as above, so below. So this idea that as we learn more what's above, we can help navigate ourselves below. And when we go inside and tune inward as within ourselves, then actually it's this kind of this galactic expansion. And that's how I believe ascension happens. It's going so deep inward that, like a toroidal field, it just comes back out the other way. So to go out, we have to go in. I know it's one of those backwards riddles, right? But that's how I think the game is played. Okay, fixed star Fomalhaut. Thank you, everybody who's helping me learn how to say that word, Fomalhaut. Why is this fixed star a royal star? Why is it so important? Well, first of all, it came up in my very first professional reading, and this is a gift back to Karen in the UK. So, Fomalhaut, this is one of the four royal stars that hold up the heavens. There are four stars that are the guardians. They are logistical points that hold north, south, east, west. They're the four watchers. So when you look at the early Persian Empire, they had to look and figure out how to navigate within the stars to help them understand how to go from point A to point B on Earth. But Fomalhaut, okay, so this is what I read on Astrology King. You can Google Astrology King, KING.com, and you can find fixed star Fomalhaut too to read more. But here's the deal. Of the fixed stars, the four, there was usually one that people wanted to make sure they, oh, do I have like Regulus? That's the king star in my chart. You know, Fomalhaut, it's not the king star. Instead, it's the star that was in Bethlehem. This is how the narrative goes. It is connected to the birth of Jesus, the Christ. Now, it's not about the religion, it's about this energetic narrative and the metaphor that comes from if you have Fomalhaut anywhere in your natal chart, then I would say pay attention to this little mini reading. Okay, so why is it so important? Astrology King said Regulus, the king star, that held the archangel energy of Raphael, the healer, the medicine. You call in Raphael with the green light to support the heart chakra, and we heal ourselves. But now, energetically, as we evolve as not just our human beingness or our collective humanity or just Gaia, but the heavens are evolving as well. And so the fixed stars are now actually pointing to Fomalhaut as the star that is going to carry us into this new Aquarian age. And so I'm going to show 4 or 5 little slides. So here comes some slides just to show you some pictures. All right. So guess what? If you find out that your origin using Julia Balaz's free online calculator called galacticastro.com. Oops, got to get the phone. Those pesky callers. Let me get back to sharing. Excuse me. Here we go. Your origin star family. What if you found out that the Persian royal star Fomalhaut was really where you came from, playing the narrative again with Julia Balaz's online calculator? So the star is in the constellation called Piscis Australis, not to be confused with Pisces. Okay, those are 2 fish. This is a single fish. But I just wanted to share and get your attention that if you go check out, put in your natal information on Julia's calculator, again, galacticastrochart.com, and you find that you have this as your origin star family, then you might want to know a little bit more about the star. So let's see how I can go. Here we go. So if you began your journey in this system that we live in on this star, it's this idea of where is your first incarnation? This star's energy may not be familiar with you. It could be in the subconscious. More often, it's your most recent lifetimes where you feel like, oh, I identify. Oh, I'm Pleiadian or I'm from Orion. But these origin stories are usually at a very deep base for your identity. All right, so the next one, here we are. This picture right here with the Aquarius constellation will help explain what Jamie on Astrology King was writing, and that is the shift from the age of Pisces, the shift away from Regulus, and now why is Fomalhaut? This is the red star. It's a reddish star at the mouth of the fish. Okay, so here we are. Do you see how the water of the Aquarius water bear flows right down and it actually goes into this open mouth of a fish, right into this star? And so I've got this kind of spidey sense that this is the reason that it's shifting from Regulus, which is Archangel Raphael, Watcher of the North, and the green ray of healing, moving now into the south because Fomalhaut holds and guards the southern portion of the heavens. Its element is fire. And yes, Archangel Gabriel, who announced to the Virgin Mary, Mary, you are with child. Okay. But also this idea of the angels at the birth of Christ, singing praises and glory and telling the shepherds who saw the star to fear not. Always divine communication. So this idea of why is Fomalhaut now of the 4 stars, Regulus, Antares, Fomalhaut, and Aldebaran, why is it that Fomalhaut might soon be the one star you really we should all track. And if it's in your birth chart, you're going to be asked to step up if you choose to or not. Okay, but you can see Aquarius holds the water or the consciousness for all of humanity. Okay, and so as we move into this Aquarian age, doesn't it make sense that the water goes into the fish? It still connects us with this idea of Pisces. For the last 2,000 years, it was this idea of the Pisces age. Now it's Aquarian age, or we're in that pocket of in between. But there's this connection of the water for all of humanity and the collective as we move forward in our ascension process, that the fish is still involved. Again, it's not the same as the constellation Pisces, but it's the southern fish. Okay, let me show you my next slide. Piscis Australis constellation. So the brightest star in the southern constellation is Fomalhaut. And so the name in Arabic is Fomalhaut. It's a reddish star, and it actually means mouth of the fish who drinks the water of Aquarius, right? So here we are, Archangel Gabriel, strong connections to the divine messenger. If this was highly activated in your chart, or you found that you had an origin story that engaged Fomalhaut, what messages might you share and hold for the collective? Okay, so one last chart. And this is information from beautiful Julia Balaz and her sharing with the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioners course. What does this royal star mean in your life? Again, in Julia's readings, there's been thousands of them. She often found that clients who had this star activated in their charts had a very strong connection to the teachings of Christ. So past lives as Essenes, past lives in the neighborhood of Jesus, or a devotee. But there's always a sensitivity towards Jesus. Now, moving away again from the religious connotations, if you were brought up in another type of religion, it's this idea of what did Jesus represent? So it's a sensitive and compassionate soul, highly empathic. Communications, new beginnings, and strength are key with this beautiful star. The thing with the fixed stars too is that we all think, oh yeah, I want one of the royal stars, but think what royalty is. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. What is royalty? Royalty looks good from afar. Say I'm a peasant and I'm looking up thinking, oh, they have all their meals, they get to wear beautiful clothing. But the real task of royalty, you have to be ready. You have to go through some fierce battles. You have to learn protection and be in service. So those who have this Fomalhaut star in their chart, or any of the other 3 royal stars, it's this calling out of, maybe this helps understand, why was it so hard at the beginning in my childhood, in my young adulthood? But royalty uses the wisdom of all that experience of life. And if you choose to transmute the lessons and become the wise ruler, the royalty, to share your wisdom with the collective, with your group, your kingdom or queendom. So again, it's a calling. And if you answer the call, fabulous, but it is a free choice. Okay, now before I end, I do want to just bring you to Astrology King. So bear with me, I'll be right there. Okay, here it comes. Astrology King. Thank you, Jamie. If you go and do a little search on Fomalhaut, you'll get to this site with astrologyking.com. All right, so in it, we first get a picture of the upside down fish. And the brightest star of the fish, of the upside down southern fish, is Fomalhaut. So his little mouth is here. It's this red star that the water of Aquarius flows into. Now, if you understand astrology, I'm going to give you the degrees. Okay, so you can look it up in your charts. Fomalhaut, because it's a fixed star, sits at 3 degrees of Pisces, 52 minutes. And it has an orb of 2 degrees, 30 minutes. What this means is if you find out if you have any planets close or near to 3 degrees, 52 minutes Pisces, you have to count 2 degrees forward or backwards to know if you have a conjunction. Okay. And that's all I'm going to share as far as aspects. But here we go. The next thing that Astrology King does is it gives you the date on the calendar. February 23rd is the day the sun, our sun, joins Fomalhaut in the sky. Okay. So here it is. And I'm just going to say, I think that this is definitely the northern hemisphere. So then what you do is if you're in the southern hemisphere, you also look at February 23rd, but you meditate at night. And if you're in the northern hemisphere, you use February 23rd to meditate with this fixed star in the daytime. All right. Now, if you count 6 months from February 23rd, so that's March, April, May, June, July, August. August 23rd is the other date on the calendar where you can meditate with fixed star Fomalhaut. All right. So here we go. Look at how good Jamie does this. All right. He gives a little bit of the setup with, yes, it's the fixed star that calls in the winter solstice, or that was the point of in ancient times, why they would celebrate. This is one of the stars that held up the heavens. He goes further and says the 4 royal stars have 4 archangels, which he calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Okay, these are stories, yes. So Regulus, again, was considered the supreme guardian. But now here's where Jamie says the role of Fomalhaut with Gabriel and the birth of Jesus is now starting to have much more of a supremacy over Regulus. All right. So as you start learning star stories, it always goes back to Ptolemy. Okay. So he was this guy, this Greek gentleman who really started cataloging the constellations in the heavens. And they would not only give the names, but they would also say the expressions. So he said that this particular star is in the nature of Venus and Mercury. So, Venus, goddess of aesthetics, taste, and beauty, love, Mercury, conversation, communication. It's interesting, right? Divine communication. And then Venus of a loving heart. So then Jamie's giving some qualities from early on, which I don't think necessarily resonate with 2022, but we'll see the ones that feel right. If you have this activation in a conjunction with your sun, idealism, psychic, handsome, neat, lovable, refined, genteel, and intelligent. Okay, and then he gives some more information here. But these stars have the nature of certain planets. Okay, so why did I want to focus in on here? Let's see. I personally have, let's skip down here. This is the fun part. Fomalhaut star conjunctions. So if you ask yourself, well, what does it mean if I have this star and it's conjunct my ascendant? Well, here's some terms like great and lasting honors and immortal name. And then Jamie gives like Pablo Escobar and Catherine the Great. And then right behind them, here's the degree of orb that Fomalhaut had to their ascendant. I hope this is making sense to everybody, but this is how you read Astrology King. It's really quite interesting. So let's keep going. Jupiter, let's see. If you have Fomalhaut conjunct Jupiter, you can be sympathetic, charitable, and you'd have honors in the church, such as, if it's not the church, it's Freemasonry or secret society, and many voyages. Ooh, I think that's wonderful. If it's conjunct Jupiter. Now, here's the interesting thing, because then he puts it into the body. If Fomalhaut is within a 2-degree orb, right, of Jupiter, This is interesting. It causes a slight problem with the sciatic nerve. So, this is where we start talking about medical astronomy, where the stars and the energies have an impact or potential impact on our narrative, not just psychologically, but in our bodies as well. Okay, so here it just keeps going. It just keeps going. So, and there's a donation button if you decide to support Astrology King. Okay, that was a little bit of a deep dive. We just want to say thank you, Fixed Star Fomalhaut, because this is the star. Let's just say you want to meditate tonight. Okay, and you just say, okay, I bring in the energy of Archangel Gabriel, the divine messenger that was at the moment of Jesus's birth, who announced the coming of the Christ with the Immaculate Conception. You can just, whichever stories you want to move in, that's okay. But it's this idea of divine cosmic messages. So go use that galacticastrochart.com by Julia. Plug in your information. You need to have your birth time and see if this fixed star Fomalhaut is engaging any of your planets or key points. Now, Fomalhaut and Regulus have recently been added to the calculator. So if you've done your chart and didn't see them before, I would say it was added about a month ago. Go back and check. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm trying to share wonderful tools to help with our ascension, but also this joy and passion that I have for the galactic is just rich. And so hopefully it'll help somebody listening. Okay. See you next time. Much love and bye for now.